Welcome to Something to Talk About. And today we're going to talk about creativity. And you don't need to call yourself an artist to enjoy the benefits of creative and imaginative activity. Although we have a real live, honest to goodness artist with us this morning to walk us through that. And that's Susan Callan, who is well known to many of you through her activities through the Parks and Recreation District, through the Senior Center in years ago and today as well, and also Bainbridge Artisan Resource Network, Barn. So Susan, thank you so much for joining us today. I look forward to this very much.
Very welcome. I am an instructor in the book arts studio at Barn, and I love doing it. It's an exciting place to work, and it really harbors a whole bunch of creative effort, and it just kind of resonates in the air when you're there. But I also am a student, and will be until I croak. And part of that is I'm a lifelong learner. And part of it is that I want always to be expanding my world of creativity and all things book. And so I take classes as well as teach them. And just to sort of sum up me as an instructor at Barn, they asked all of us to condense our bios into a very short paragraph. And so I did, and I thought, well, I'll take that opportunity to update it to who I really am. So I'm going to read it to you. An instructor of book arts at Barn, Susan teaches classes in creativity, cleverly disguised as all things book. She dove into the world of book arts during a life junction about 30 years ago, and I've never looked back. She continues to be a student, even as she teaches. That is consistent with her passion for sharing acquired knowledge. The hallmark of each of her classes is that magical interaction between being creative and having fun. And by the time we finish today, I hope you'll all adopt something like that. If you are having fun, being creative is a natural. If you are having fun, creativity is that childlike exuberance that just comes out of you. So everyone now has a piece of paper in front of them. It's just a blank 8.5 by 11, I assume. And what I'd like you to do is to fold it in half, doesn't matter which way, and then crease it just so that you know that's a line, doesn't matter which direction it's going. And then open it up and turn it 90 degrees and fold it in half again. So you end up with four on your 8.5 by 11. So now what I'd like you to do is to turn the paper over. I know it doesn't matter at this point, but just turn it over and draw a small square. Draw a small star, just a 5-point thing. Draw a small circle and draw a small triangle, equilateral. It doesn't matter. Okay, now pick your favorite of those 4 options. It doesn't matter at all which one you choose, but you just have to choose one. And then turn your paper back over again and draw that symbol that you chose at about, I'm going to say, a quarter size of the big square that you're working in. I guess they're actually rectangles. So, for instance, there, that might be, can you see that? Because of still life, I can't tell whether you can see that. Okay, so that's about the size you want your symbol to be. And draw that in one, and then draw exactly the same symbol in all the rest of the rectangles. Okay? Now, what you're going to do, starting in that upper left-hand corner, is you're going to turn that, I'm going to say the word circle just because that's what I wrote here. It doesn't matter what. I'm going to turn my circle into something. And then I'm going to embellish the page or maybe I'm going to use it as part of the embellishment and I'm not going to have an object anymore. I'd have no idea what you're going to do, but you're essentially going to use up the whole space, okay? And you will have about, between 20 and 30 seconds to do that. Don't start yet. And then you're going to fill up each of the other 3 squares with using that same symbol, but a totally different picture. All right. So you've got about 20, 25 seconds to do that. And right now you can start. Okay, that's 20 seconds. You should be moving on. I'm not going to tell you each one anymore. You've just got another minute to finish the whole thing. Remember, they all have to be completely different.
And always using the same symbol?
You're
Like if you start
the
a
same
circle?
symbol that you put in all 4. It's just that you embellish it, finish it in a totally different way.
Okay.
Okay, 10 seconds left to go. And you want to wrap it up. Okay, now nobody's going to grade these. So don't be intimidated. You don't even have to show them. But how many people did all 4? Just a raise of hands. Oh, all right. Wow. The only person who didn't is Reed, but I suspect he's gone doing his administration.
I'm here.
Oh, you're here.
I did it.
Oh, all right. All right. So anybody brave enough to show, just hold it up in front of you, of your head and see, let's see what you got. Hold
And
it
just
really-
and say a little something, please. Just
right.
oh, that's beautiful, Debbie.
Oh my gosh, Debbie, that's fabulous. And let's see, Rita, the stars. Look what you did. That's wonderful too. I love it. Okay, Karen, the light is pretty bad, so I can see some of it, but I can't see all of it. All right, that's fantastic. Just fantastic. This is exactly what I'd hope you would do. Okay, Annika, can you show us yours? Can you turn yourself on, or you can't do that?
I don't have my camera with me right now, or else
You can't do it. Okay, fine enough. But did you get all 4 and they're all different?
I did.
Good. And Lawrence and yes?
Lawrence and Bonnie. Yes, you did.
Okay, we're here.
All right. Okay. And I guess the only one I haven't seen is Christina. Nice. Very nice. Some very clever uses of it. So what this little exercise does, and anything like this, where you have to take yourself out of the ordinary frame of reference that we all live in, and that is to say what's expected of you, and put yourself somewhere else and be very serious about it because time is short, so that you can't be thinking about the fact that you've got this report to write on the side. You have to be doing this one thing. That is the creative zone. And that you'll see in a few minutes is something that is a cool thing to strive for. So So now you can put it aside, because really all I've done with this exercise is give you an idea of where creativity lies in your spectrum, and just giving you a little taste of what it's like to dive in and leave the world behind. So I want to give you just a quick idea of the stuff I hope we can cover. And just so you know, after I've done each one, and you would know when I'm done if you could see it, but you can't. So there we're going to go through the definitions, some of the definitions of what creativity is, and who some of the creatives are. So the first thing is the definitions. And I want you to know I've been at this for, oh my gosh, teaching creativity subtly or obviously for way over a decade now. And I can tell you, because I have hundreds of articles and books and all kinds of things, there are no two definitions that are alike. So it's a wonderful field. I hope the researchers never pin it down, because it's great just the way it is. But I'm going to read you three definitions. No, I'm going to read you four. On these pages that you can't see, one of the things I did was add to each of the topics a quote from some famous creative. And the one on this page is definition: creativity is just intelligence having fun. Do you know this quote? Good, I'm glad you don't. Can you take a guess at who it might be? Creativity is just intelligence having fun. This is Albert Einstein. Guessed, right? But the point is, he was one of the most creative human beings that we've had around for a long, long time. So here, I'm going to read these three definitions. And what I'd like you to do is I would like you to write down a keyword or key phrase in that definition that jumped out at you, okay? So that if you have a second piece of paper, that's fine. If not, just scribble on the edges of your stars or squares or whatever, okay? So here's the first one. Creativity is defined as the tendency to generate or recognize ideas, alternatives, and of the possibilities that may be useful in solving problems. Either that, or in communicating with others, and in entertaining ourselves and others. Okay, I'm going to read it one more time. I'll read it a little faster. Creativity is defined as the tendency to generate or recognize ideas, alternatives, or possibilities that may be useful in solving problems, communicating with others, and entertaining ourselves or others. Okay? And one of the things I'm going to ask you at the end is to just give me feedback, one or two words that hit you and if you happen to have done it on that first one, tell me something you'd throw out because you think it's superfluous. Okay, here's the second definition. Creativity is the process, the skill of using information and imagination to form original ideas. Then to validate those original ideas through exploration, experimentation, and then finally discovery and application. Okay, so I'll read that one again fast so you can pick up whatever words you heard. Creativity is the process, the skill of using information and imagination to form original ideas. Then to validate those original ideas through exploration and experimentation, then finally discovery and application. And I'll tell you the sources of these at the end, okay? Last one is being creative means solving problems in a new way, changing your perspective, taking risks, ignoring doubt, but facing your fears. It means breaking with a routine and doing something different just for the sake of doing something different. Okay, I'll read that one again. Being creative means solving a problem in a new way, changing your perspective, taking risks, ignoring doubt, but facing your fears. It means breaking with a routine and doing something different just for the sake of doing something different. Okay, so just a couple of words. We need to keep it short because Tempest is fugiting, okay? So let's see, Reed, if you're still there, what's yours? No, he's off. Okay, Mike? I don't know if that's mic or microphone. All right. All right, now the page has just shifted, so I've got a different circle, so I'm going to go this time with Karen. Karen King, you're next here.
Should I start with the Einstein one?
No, the Einstein one is just a quote.
Okay.
One of those, if you were to Google quotes about creativity, you'd see the definition from Einstein 4,000 times. No, the first one was the one that's
Tendencies.
defined as the tendency to blah, blah, blah.
Okay. So the words that popped out to me was solve problems.
Yeah.
And communicate, entertain. The next one was process.
Okay.
And skill of using info.
Good.
And the other one is breaking away from routine.
Yep. Okay, that's perfect. That's what I needed. Christina?
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Okay. So the first one, the two words that popped out at me was alternatives and possibilities.
Yep.
The second one, because I was walking as I was doing this, was exploration. And then the third one, risk, popped out at me.
Okay.
Gary, yeah.
That's Rita, you're next on my screen.
Okay, for the first one, it was generate possibilities.
Uh-huh.
The second one is skill and imagination. And the third one was changing perspective and facing fears and new way.
Good. And Debbie? You're muted, Debbie.
Oh, hi.
there
Let's see,
you are.
I was,
You're muted again.
You're muted,
Off and on.
Debbie. Yeah, it's slipped.
There, you're on.
Okay, fine.
Okay, I'm on. All right. The third being
that's
creative, solving problems in a new way and facing fears and changing perspective. Very applicable to me.
Okay. You keep slipping out of voice to me, so is everybody else hearing Debbie fine?
Yeah, she just spoke rather quickly there about her changing.
Sorry.
Fine. Okay. That's fine. We'll come back to you then. Lawrence and Debbie. Bonnie.
Okay. First one, I got possibilities and useful. Second one was imagination and discovery. And then solving and risk or taking risk.
Yeah, taking risks. That's key that you're taking risks. Okay. And then Lawrence and Bonnie.
The first one I had possibilities and entertaining. The second one I had process, information, discovery. And the third I had new, risks, ignoring fears.
Terrific. Lawrence, how about you?
I gave mine earlier, just before Bonnie's. Yeah, I had possibilities and useful and imagination, discovery, and then solving and risk taking.
Terrific. And Debbie, can you give yours a go again?
Sure. Sorry. Okay. Generating ideas and possibilities, entertaining ourselves, valid exploration and discovery, solving problems and facing fears.
Okay. Those are all terrific things to pick up, and there's no right or wrong. That's the whole thing about creativity. You cannot be wrong. It's a personal, very personal skill to have. So I'll give you who the authors are. The first one is California State University, their creativity program. The third one, I have no idea. I've had it written down in the corner of a piece of paper for a gazillion years, but I still think it's, and the middle one would be, because these are things I've all picked up that resonate with people that they can actually do. So remember, you're going to get all of this as an email. So now what I'd like to do is, there are a lot of different forms of creativity. Just throw out just three words, three phrases, whatever. And I'm going to read the first line of this little thing I have printed here, and then you can't use those, okay? So the first one is visual drawing arts, painting, photography, and sculpture. So now you can't use any of those, but you give me three other forms and make it fast that involve creativity, and go wild. And let me say, you can start in your kitchen, right? So, and I'm going to give anyone. Okay, let's go backwards this time, and I'll start with Christina. You're muted, Christina. You're muted.
There we go. Okay.
Okay.
All right. So I'm on the pressure. Travel, gardening, and I have no idea. That's hard. I don't know. I don't know. Placing books on the shelf.
Okay. We'll leave it there. So the next person in my screen would be Bonnie and Lawrence. Why don't you give us three between the two of you?
Okay, we'll start with cooking.
And
Okay.
mothering,
You have what?
mothering,
Muttering.
mothering,
Parenting.
parenting.
Parenting. Yeah, that's a good one. Okay, thank you. Rita, you're next.
I've got sewing
Yep.
and cooking and gardening.
Okay. If we had more time, I'd make it more difficult and say you can't say the ones I read to you, and you can't say anything that's already been said. But we don't have the time, so if you repeat, that's fine. I'm assuming these are all your takes on far out creativity. Okay, Debbie, you're next.
I come up with doodling, cloud dreaming, and brainstorming.
Yeah, okay. Those are unexpected.
Different.
Very good. Very, very good. And I'm just going to read the last line on this because it adds, I think, oh, did I miss you, Karen?
Boo-hoo.
I'm sorry. Sometimes this whole page shifts. And
It's okay. It's okay. But
Creative crying.
No, mine was dancing, singing, and baking.
yes, love them. Love them. That's great.
There.
And the last one on the list I have here is making anything you can imagine, right? So it's making and imagine are the two key words there. So now I'm moving on to the next section here. And once again, you can't see my quote, so I'm going to read it. It's a little longer than most of the quotes, but I love this quote. Creativity is one of the most important skills we can master. With enhanced creativity, instead of problems, we see potential. Instead of obstacles, we see opportunities. Instead of challenges, we see a chance to create solutions. Creativity is critically important to everything we do. And this is the woman her name is Tina Seelig, and she's the executive director for Stanford's Technology Ventures program, which is all about being creative no matter what your job is. I just love it. So now I'm going to list off. I just Googled this. I could have done a lot of research on a different level, but I just decided I would see what Google and Wikipedia has to say about who are the greatest creative thinkers in our history, right? So your task, of course, there's always one here, is to come up with one of them, right? You don't have to say it out loud. We'll go through this. But keep that your person in mind and see if he or she is on the list. So the first one is Thomas Edison. Oh, this list, by the way, I took it exactly as Google and Wikipedia presented it, and I think they've got it all wrong. But that's one humble human. I think the last person on the list should be first, but okay, you'll see. So the first one is Thomas Edison. Second is Isaac Newton. Third is Walt Disney. Fourth is Albert Einstein. Fifth is Steve Jobs. And the last one is Leonardo da Vinci. So was anybody's name on the list? Yes? Yeah, good. And a couple who weren't. Who did you guys think of that didn't raise your hand? Debbie, who'd you think of?
Norman Rockwell.
Pardon? Norman Rockwell.
Norman Rockwell.
Yeah, okay, all right, good.
I was thinking of
I know.
Georgia O'Keeffe.
Georgia O'Keeffe, okay. And
Again, I went to music and I went David Byrne with the Talking Heads.
I went with Bob Dylan, so we're close.
We were going there, but
Yeah.
Florence and I were in the same boat.
And Christina, who did you pick? Not there. Okay.
Rita, did you have a pick? Rita's mute. There you
Yeah,
go.
I picked Einstein.
Yeah, okay. I was just looking for picks that weren't on this list.
Okay, yeah.
But that's
Well, I would say
yeah.
Michelangelo,
Yeah.
probably.
And did we get Lawrence and Bonnie, did we get you? Were your guys on the list?
Yeah,
Yes,
I had Leonardo.
and I had Bob Dylan.
Yep. It's interesting, isn't it? When you get this, you'll see very brief descriptions of why they're on the list. I mean, the only one I'll read to you is Thomas Edison, just because he's first. An icon for innovation with a collection of patents for over 1,000 inventions. 1,000. My dad happened to have one patent for one of his many inventions. And so for me to conceptualize 1,000 is beyond my kin. But I do know this about Edison, that when he was inventing the light bulb, he failed. He failed 99 times before he finally succeeded in getting a light bulb that could be dependable and explainable enough.
I think it's interesting that these are all men.
Pardon?
I think it's interesting that all these names and most that you mentioned were men.
Absolutely. I think the times will change in the next 100 years,
Yeah.
but we'll see. We'll see. Okay, there's a, yeah.
Is that
But
me?
it is
No.
interesting. But the reason I wanted to read the Edison one is because I don't know about these other characters. I don't know how many times they failed when they started a project thinking that they would succeed. But to fail is intrinsically part of the creative process, because in all those 99 times that he failed, he learned something. He learned something that he could take forward and incorporate or never use again. But so what are the characteristics, the habits, the personality, so to speak, of really creative people? The first one is they follow their intuition. 2, they know how to trigger their own creativity. They spend time in the imagination sandbox. And those 2 words are purposely put together because being in the sandbox gives you license to imagine just like a child, just like a toddler. Okay, next one is they follow inspirational sources, lots of them. They make the most of challenges that occur, that happen in front of them. And I don't mean like accidents. I mean, when a challenge hits you, you don't think of it as a challenge. It's an opportunity, right? Okay, they embrace new ideas and new things. They are always willing to add play and fun to any task. They are aware of their surroundings. They're observers. But it's not just casual observation, it is deliberate observation. They are open to new experiences. And all of those words are important. They're open, the experiences are new, and they are experiences for them, okay? And another one that this is the last of the ones that I culled this down to. They never assume that creativity is a gift of birth. It is not a given talent, natural talent. They never assume it is beyond that. Now I'm going to give you, I'm skipping ahead a little bit on myself here, but I'm going to give you a life-changing set of approaches. And what I call this is changing what you say to reprogram your brain and to change outcomes all through your life. So I'm going to read it, okay? Here's an interesting way to start reprogramming your brain towards creativity. Change the way you pose questions to yourself. And we all do this. Why am I so stupid? Why can't I seem to get this? What's going on here? So you're going to change the way you pose questions to yourself. And when you do, you'll find that the answers will come to you in a changed way. For instance, you might find yourself thinking, why do I always say the wrong thing? I can vouch for that. Your brain hears that. Your brain, this huge computer that we have in our heads, your brain hears that and immediately starts to find out why you always say the wrong thing. And then it delivers the answer to you in stronger tendencies to do what you just asked it to find out about, right? So that's not exactly what you had in mind when you asked the question, but that's what your brain, which is very literal, thinks. So if you change the question to something like, I wonder why I always seem to say the right thing at the right time. Now, it may not be true at that point, but being literal, your brain picks this up and starts to figure out, well, why does she or why does he always say the right thing at the right time? And then once again, there it is, giving you little nudges that influence you to say the right thing at the right time. Now, this may sound way out on a left-handed branch somewhere. I read this in an article, which I now cannot find on my computer, but I read it several years ago, and I thought, oh, I have to try it, because I was always putting myself down. So I started sitting around and posing a question for my brain that hopefully it could help me change. And all I can tell you is I am a different human being now. I'm in my confidence, in my ability to say, sure, I can do that, or whatever else it is. And so I humbly ask you to give it a try. When you say a negative thing to yourself, stop yourself and make the effort to rephrase that question, that whatever it is, to your brain, and then just let it go. And it will come back to you in the right time. Remember, when you're doing this, this is part of skill building. All skill building is imprinting your brain with a procedure or a formula that it can then bring back to you at the right moment to make different outcomes in your life. That's all skill building is. So give this a try because it's a biggie. Okay. This is a quote from Maya Angelou, one of my favorite writers was, "You can't use up creativity. The more you use, the more you have." Sounds backwards, but those of us who ponder it and teach it and watch what happens, it's absolutely true. You can't use up creativity. The more you use it, the more you have. As you're going along this energizing path, remember to keep your focus on the process, not the outcome. Results will always take care of themselves, and they are what they are. And I can tell you, they aren't what they aren't, too. Having picked up painting some 10, little over years ago with a group of painters, I would do my best each week. And sometimes I would think it was wonderful and I'd never get any comments whatsoever. Deafening. Or sometimes I would think, oh God, you know, how come I can't paint, right? That's one of those things I've changed. Another one is it expands the sense of time. Now, I would beg to differ with that adjective of expanding time, because what I find is that when I get lost in making a book and doing the creative embellishment, I think a half hour has passed and I realize, oh my God, I've been here for 4 hours. I mean, it collapses time to me. But I think the imagery is the same thing. It alters time in a way that is just beautiful for you. And when it alters time, you have taken you out of the person who 5 hours ago was worrying about this and anxious about that. You cannot be in the creative zone and be a worrywart human. It's just not possible. Okay, it alters your self-awareness and expression. And I think that's true. I have seen an awful lot of students gain a measure of self-confidence and ability to describe what they are producing that I think is right on close to magical. The last question was, are you inspired to try something new and daring? I hope you are, because if you are, I've done my job. And if you aren't, you might delve into this stuff I'm going to send you. And the quote on this page is very appropriate. Instead of thinking outside the box, get rid of the box. Okay? Thanks for joining. And I hope to see you all again. Good.
Yes, thank you very much. Some wonderful stuff in there. I think we all agree. I see the applause.
Good.